Missouri wins this one, and they win it convincingly. Iowa State's not really in the game. Kobe Brown was phenomenal, one of the most underrated players in the country. You know, both teams are older, right? Both teams are older. I felt like Iowa State would at least go in and play a game, and they didn't. And I'm waiting. I got to say, I guess I'm just kind of waiting for the bottom to fall out a little bit at Iowa State, and I'm worried, and it hasn't yet, and I worry that this could be the start of it.
I think this was just a weird matchup, right? Like the thing about Iowa State, the reason they win is because of their defense. They're a really good defense. They take you out of what you want to run. Missouri, people, I don't know how many people realize this. They're third nationally on KenPom right now in adjusted offensive efficiency. Like they're really good. They can score, and they're not a great defensive team, but they throw enough weird different kind of zones and different lineups and different defenses at you. It's that you can see what Dennis Gates is running. Like you can see the Leonard Hamilton in him when he's kind of coaching and changing up his defenses. So I think this was just like Iowa State's never seen it before. The Missouri can kind of counter what Iowa State does well. They're playing at home. That place gets loud. There was probably an FKU chant going on at some point during that game that just completely melted down their eardrums. It's just one of those games. And Iowa State, and I think this goes for a lot of the teams in college basketball this season, maybe every single one of them. They're not good enough to withstand their C night, especially when they're playing on the road, especially when they're playing against the tournament team, and especially when that team is playing their A game. They're just not good enough to do it. It's going to happen. You're going to take losses.
Yeah, Missouri's 12-2 at home this season. Their two losses are to Kansas and Alabama. Like that, like when they're good, that's one of the toughest places to play in the SEC. I mean, you guys were there. Like, it gets loud. It's ruckus. Yes. Like, it is unbelievable in there. And how about this statement? And I don't know where he ends up, but is Kobe Brown, could he be in consideration for what they're doing right now? And I'm a huge fan of whoever wins the league, the best player on that team should be player of the year in the league. But you can make a case for Kobe Brown that, hey, like he should be up there and he should be in consideration. Yes. He has been unbelievable.
He'll be a first team guy.
He'll be first team all SEC, but you could make, and again, I think it should always go to the best player on the team that wins the league. Maybe that's coach speak.
Almost.
Maybe that's coach speak, but like that's what I believe. That's what I believe. You know, but you can make the case for him. I mean, he's
first team. He's first team, no question to me. First team all SEC, no question. I would give it to Brandon Miller, but I mean, look, maybe I'm too much of a Brandon Miller stan over here. I love his game. I love what he does. I think he's the most dangerous player for any of the top 10 teams in terms of how you can't let him get a look. You got to chase him around everywhere, right? I think he's as difficult to scheme for as anyone this side of Zach Edey. So I love Brandon Miller.
You know, this is one that was big for Missouri too, right? They had beaten Illinois. They had beaten Kentucky and Arkansas at home. Again, I'll say it over and over, like Arkansas is not a lock to go to the tournament. Kentucky is not a lock to go to the tournament. So this win against Iowa State was a huge resume win for them. And again, they did it with their older dudes, you know, Kobe Brown, Hodge, Nick Honor. They shot
you know what the biggest thing is, Jeff, for them is that Missouri, on our fielding the 68 mock bracket, Missouri came into this game as an 11 seed. Right. They didn't do any. They did less than nothing in non-conference. Yeah, right. They didn't get any wins there, and it's not like they've been stacking up great wins in the SEC. So they are one of those teams that is like one weird losing streak away from being on the wrong side of the bubble. And they might have already had that weird losing streak when they lost 3 out of 4 earlier this year. But picking up this win, like Iowa State's going to be in the top 20 of whatever metric you look at for the rest of the season, pretty much regardless of what happens. As long as they don't lose every game from here on out, they're going to be really good and look really good. This is going to be a quad 1 win. And that's the kind of thing that can be the difference between, Missouri being in that playing game conversation, being one of the last one in, and getting kind of into that 9-10 range where you're comfortably a tournament team. You don't really have to sweat it out.
But I think this, Robin, we've talked about this before too. Like Missouri and LSU coming into conference play, like we were kind of putting them in the same category.
How'd that go?
Right?
I think I said I like LSU more, man.
We were putting them in the same category. And what is Missouri doing? They're winning the games that they should win. And LSU's not. I mean, let's call it like it is. I mean, LSU's really, really struggled since conference play started. And, Missouri is winning their home games and they're winning the games that they're supposed to win. And I think that's the separation. I think that's impressive, especially for a first-year coach in the SEC. I think that's really impressive.